Hi, I'm Tori Henderson, and I'm here with Heather Stark, and she is going to talk about her organization that she established called GracefullyStrong.com. Tell us about Gracefully Strong and the name, where the name came from, and how you got started.
Gracefully Strong, in a nutshell, is a 8-week self-esteem program for girls ages 10 through 14. We partner with schools and we deliver it either during the school day or after school. The name was just a revelation. I was sitting here thinking about what is it that I hope to be with my life. What do I want my daughter to be? And I wanted strong, but yet just ability to give grace. And I think grace is a way of strength, to do and to be able to do things and give people things, not because they are nice, but because you are nice, because it starts with you. The program lasts 8 weeks, and we have, by the end of this year, we will have delivered 30 programs in 3 years.
Wow. Wow. And do the schools come to you and say, we're having some problems with our girls? Or you go to them and say, hey, we've got a solution for you?
It's worked both ways. This is the first year that I've done it as a full-time, and so the school district that I was working in, they openly accepted it and said, yes, come, let's empower girls. Other school districts have contacted me and said, we've got some problems with some mean girl activity. We do have some girls that are lifted. So sorry. So it really, it's worked both ways.
And how did you develop your curriculum?
Through a lot of reading and research. I spent probably a good year to 2 years of just reading articles on developing self-esteem through my work as a school counselor, talking with teachers, talking with parents, talking with girls, and really it comes down to the girls that age where you start. It comes down to peers, body image, parents, and social media. Just kind of wrap all of that up. That seems to have the biggest impact.
Okay, let me say it again. Peers, body image, social media, and
parents.
Parents.
Yeah.
Okay. Those 4 things. Topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media has become such a big one. I talked to a principal of I can't remember if it was high school or middle school. I think it was high school. And he said 95% of he was a vice principal, of his discipline issues were online issues.
Oh, wow.
95%.
That's huge.
Isn't it? I was really blown away.
And I think it's really hard for schools to deal with that, because a lot of that comes outside of school and it gets brought in. And so you really have to have a parent buy-in, and that this is serious, and it affects more than just after school hours. It affects academics. It affects all of those different parts of school. And that, I think, is probably the hardest thing to deal with discipline in schools, is when it happens through social media. It's just, I'm sorry. It's just,
you're on your cell phone. That's what we're hearing, is the ringing.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I just want to explain. That was like that vibrating sound. We're like, oh, that sounds familiar. I know what that is. We tried computer. It didn't work. So I remember being a Girl Scout leader, and I would get this curriculum, this binder of lesson plans, and I would read through it and think, oh, this sounds great. Talk about this, discuss that, and I'd bring it to my troop, and it would just fall dead in the water. Now, when you were talking about, like, oh, I researched and I learned about girls and self-esteem, and I'm thinking, and then you took it to the girls, but there's a step in between that, is creating, teaching it in a way that they can understand and is engaging. So how did you develop that piece?
That is a relationship that you have to build with the girls. And so, there was a lot of trial and error.
I've trial and error. There's a lot of error that happens before you get your victories.
Yes. So there has to be no ego involved. And that was something I would tell the girls, okay, this is the first time I'm doing this lesson, so I need some immediate feedback. And so if I look at their faces and they're like, I'm like, okay, let's start. So it is, but you've got to be comfortable with your girls. You've got to take it as normal so that they feel comfortable saying this isn't working. And so what that looks like for me is we sit on the floor in a circle. I say all girls invited, and we're in a circle because there's no high or low, everything's equal. And I say that over and over and over again. And when I do the lessons, it's probably the third or fourth week before the girls, I can start seeing them relax and we start getting into the groove.
Wow.
Yeah.
Third week.
Yeah. And
it's the benefit of doing it over time.
Yes.
Right? They get to know you and trust the environment.
Yes. And we had talked about, instead of 8 weeks, let's just do 8 days, but they need that time to start feeling comfortable. For instance, this was, I ended some sessions this morning, and it was this session that there were 2 girls that I kept trying to break through, actually was like, oh, by the way, and they named and this huge thing that had been holding them back. And I mean, it was literally 15 minutes before we ended the program, before I had to dismiss them. And it just, so you have to really invest in that. I know. Oh, baby. But at least they named the thing that was holding them back. And so, they can hopefully move forward with some skills and tools that they got through the program. But I think it's investing that time with the girls and not rushing it.
That's good tips.
Yeah.
Good tips. What are some of the things you found did not work that you tried and you're like, oh, this sounds great, and then you brought it to the group and it was like, wow.
Yeah. When first and foremost, I thought sitting at desks and talking to them, there's no room for conversation. It's all going to be very formal, and it's going to feel like an instructor and students.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that did not work. And unfortunately, it probably took me the 5th week before I realized, oh, this is what I need to change. There's a book. I tried reading a children's book to middle school girls. That didn't work. And I thought it was like going to be really good, like really insightful. And so I just kind of have to paraphrase the story to make the point with the girls. Yeah. And not giving them enough time to talk. I realized we do a session on drama, and I realized it's a 45 minutes to an hour, and I was talking 90% of the time, and I never let the girls talk and kind of digest it and put it in their own words. And so I wasn't able to make those connections the first couple of times I did that lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that one little exercise that I do that they seem to really get a lot out of, this is 12 to 14-year-olds, is I will have them pair off, and they tell the other person a story, something that has some sort of emotional drama or weight. It could be a fight they got into with their mom or their brother who always is annoying them. It can't be about anybody in the room.
Yeah.
So, I'll give them like 60 seconds and say, okay, in 60 seconds, you just are going to tell everything you can that what bugs you about this one fight or you had with your friend or whatever. And then the other person is only supposed to say 3 words. You feel blank. And then they have to try to guess. And it's something that has so much structure to it that they feel safe doing it, right? We're not saying, I want you to open up your heart and tell the stranger everything, your innermost secrets. It's like 60 seconds, boom, 3-word sentence. And it's, and you feel the barriers breaking down with that. They bond over such a simple activity, and they're like, oh, she gets it, she hears me, she cares. Like, they gain so much from just one simple little 3-word sentence. Yes. That it's like little things like that go a long way. And then, of course, once they're set loose, then they could just want to talk for hours.
Yeah. Yes. In which that's the other thing you have to be careful of is somebody that wants to dominate the conversation, just being able to gracefully put parameters around that. Yeah.
What kind of, now you're doing kids who go to school together, so they've got history. How do you control that dynamic of like not getting into, well, you know, remember that one time you did this, or like creating drama amongst the circle?
Yes, so we do social contracts. The very first lesson is a social contract. How do you want to be treated, and how do other girls want to be treated? And I tell the girls from the get-go, there's really not anything wrong that you can do unless you humiliate another girl, and then you will be called on it, and it will probably be very uncomfortable. And so I've only had to do that one time, but that's a non-negotiable. We cannot allow that at all. The times that something has happened, it's been where you stay on, you redirect, and you get the girls going. And if you need to pull the two to a side, saying, hey, do you guys need a couple of minutes to talk through this calmly? And when we say low and calm, and we say name it, tame it, walk away, because you've got to give a voice to how you're feeling, but we're not going to get dramatic in it. So
yeah. Very cool. So what are some of the things that you found that worked, where you're like, oh, like maybe you were surprised by it, or you're like, wow, this ended up being better than I thought it was going to go?
Let's see, the girls at any age really like to be able to art, just do it through art, make a project through art. They really like that experience. When I do the feedback at the end of the sessions, they say being able to create a project, or a product, I should say, out of what we've talked about kind of solidifies it, because a lot of times these things are abstract. What is self-esteem? Why do I need it? You know, just kind of drawing a picture of what self-esteem is and what it does for you. That works really well.
Is that the project you have them do, is to draw self-esteem?
Yeah.
That's so interesting, because yeah, I agree, it's such an intangible thing, and you've got girls who are still in that concrete age, you know. And so how do you do that, to have them draw self-esteem?
With the younger girls, I read the book You Are Special by Max Lucado. And so we talk about, in this book, these little wooden puppets give stickers and stars, and dots and stars. And the puppets that are popular and beautiful and talented, they get stars, and those that are not get dots. And so the main character, he meets this puppet that has no dots or no stars. It just kind of falls right off, because she has decided that what other people think doesn't matter. And so we get done with that, and we talk about what self-esteem did for the characters. And then I give them a page protector. And I tell them, imagine self-esteem was going to walk through the door. What would it look like to you if it was a noun? If it was a noun, a person, place, or thing, what would it look like? And so they draw it on the page protector, and then they write their name on cardstock, and they slide the cardstock in, and we kind of talk about how the page protector, the self-esteem, it catches those dots and those stars, but when you take your name out of the page protector, it's not on you. It's a shield. And so the girls I've had cupcakes and treats and flowers and butterflies and an actual shield, just abstract shapes like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. I love it, the page protector. How did you get that idea? That's so creative.
Honestly, it just popped in my head. I figured out how to portray it and make it real, but it's invisible. That's the thing. Self-esteem is you can't see it. So
yeah. That's so great. I love that. You could do so many different things with that too. Different protection, you could do like defense mechanisms. My mind's just you know. But I agree with the art. What we do so I have a summer camp that goes for 5 consecutive days, and we do vision journals instead of vision board. We do a vision journal, and we make it. So we start by painting, and I tell the girls, I say, okay, so we're going to do some painting. And I say, okay, how many of you just freaked out a little bit? Raise your hand, you know, at the thought of doing art. And they're like, half the group's like, the other half's like, no, I love painting. But I have them paint with credit card, gift cards, like old hotel keys. I just save them throughout the year. And they paint with in a way that you cannot mess up. You just make designs and you make colors. I only give them the 4 colors, red, blue, yellow, and white. So they mix up whatever they want. And they're not allowed to judge themselves or anybody else. They can only say, how did you create that effect? Because there's surprisingly cool amount of things you can do with credit cards and paint. How did you create that? But you can't say, oh, I like that.
Yes.
Which is, I am the worst at it. So they love catching me saying like, oh my God, that's so cute. Oh. Yeah. So it's just trying to get them into that right hemisphere of the brain that's more, less judgmental, more creative, more just like in the moment, and you're just making stuff. It doesn't have to look any particular way, but it kind of forms the books of this journal. And it's just a nice, I think, that kind of entry point in where, like, kind of like with your project, this is just about you. This isn't supposed to look a certain way, which I think so many kids put pressure on themselves when it comes to art, that it has to look a certain way. So I love it. It's like, this is for you, what it represents internally, and here's you. And so it's not a template they're trying to match.
Exactly. Yeah, I tell that to the girls. There's no right and wrong. It's just whatever you want it. And so at the end, a lot of girls are like, it was such a relief when you said there's no right or wrong way to do this project. Yeah, so it's exactly where you take off those boundaries for them. Yeah.
Yes. How much of the success of the program do you think is the environment that you create?
I think that's a huge part of it. It's a very huge part of it. We're looking at hiring some more facilitators, and the board and I have talked about how they're going to need to go through the full 8 weeks shadowing me, so they get that. Because in any situation, the relationship makes or breaks it. And if the girls aren't comfortable, if you're not comfortable doing what you're doing, and you're not wanting to reach out and grab those spirits of those girls, then it's going to be huge. Yeah. I think, when you have a good relationship, you could just sit down and talk for 8 hours and not have a structure. You want structure, but if you have that relationship and those girls are comfortable, it's all going to start coming out.
Yeah. So now, Heather, so my intention with this series is to inspire other people who want to work with girls to accept that call.
Yes.
To get some ideas and inspiration. And I just heard you say you're hiring. So I want everybody to know that you are in Texas.
Yes.
And is that where in Texas? Is it Austin?
Fort Worth. We met at Fort Worth, Aledo area. Yes.
Right, so if anybody's in that area and you want to call her, look her up and check out her program. But also, are you planning to expand? What's your goals personally for your business?
I would love to be in every state, to have satellite branches, that somebody in Oklahoma calls and says, hey, we want to do what you do. And so we train them, and there's protocol and things to follow, because like I said, this is the 3rd year. So we've really fine-tuned some things, and we've realized what is working and what is not. So yes, to have satellite programs all over. And we slowly changed the culture of how girls are looked at, and stereotypical girls. And hold on, I might get emotional. And we define beauty by our standards, the standards of our spirit, and not rely on media to define it for us. Beauty has to be defined by the standard of your spirit. And I think there's grace and strength in everybody's spirit. So let's work on the inside, and that's just going to shine out. I know that's a cliche, but I just believe it to be true.
I think it has to start with us. And like you're saying, it has to start with the facilitator, right? Yeah. They have to feel comfortable and at ease with themselves, especially if you're going to a room full of girls, and they can be tough groups sometimes.
Yes.
I remember the first time I took on this challenge, it's like, you do not go work with a group of, I think the first time I did it was actually teen moms. So they were like 16, 17. And I thought, okay, if you want a self-esteem boost, this is the last place.
Yeah.
You will just get nothing, like no feedback, no, oh, that was a really good lesson. Good job, Tori. Like, you're not going to get, what do you get, stars and dots? You're not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end, when you ask for written feedback,
Yeah.
it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned what you're saying too about it's the environment you're creating more than the words you're saying. Is people like they don't even know there's a place they can go where they can be themselves, be accepted for who they are.
Yeah.
And have no judgment. And that was like, I can't believe there's like no judgment here. Like, oh, that's just so sad. And I think as adults, we sometimes forget that, because we can go to places, I would hope, as adults where we don't feel judged.
Right.
At this age, everybody is so judgmental and critical. And I think there's a biological reason that for that, you know.
Yeah.
A vulnerable age, and they have to make sure they're being accepted by their tribe, because if they get booted, they could die, right? So I think there's a reason that they have that such a critical eye. What's everybody else doing, and am I matching and looking exactly the same way so that I'm safe?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's just kind of runs. You know, we don't really need that anymore.
No. Yeah.
What's some of the feedback that you got from the girls at the end, whether it's written, that kind of surprised you?
One of the girls today said, I don't lie anymore about how I feel. I learned it's okay if I'm upset to say I'm upset, and it doesn't make me less. The other was a big one is with the girls, they don't realize that all the other girls are feeling the exact same way because they don't say it because they're afraid of being judged. So we do a whole lesson on doubts and how to share the load. And when the girls realize, oh, I worry about my skin and academics, and so does she, or it's I worry about my academics the way she worries about her athleticism. It's the same. That's a huge thing. The girls tell me they appreciate how they're all equal in the group, at least while they're there in the class with me. The moms say the same thing when I solicit feedback from the moms, how their daughters, at least for that 1 hour, everyone was equal. There was no judging. But the judging thing, that comes back a lot. And that's, I think, the biggest hurdle we face is the judging.
Yeah. Yeah. And whether self or others, it's all the same.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you get started doing this following this passion of yours and creating it into a class? What made you kind of form that passion for you?
I was a school counselor for a while, and I started noticing girls 4th through 5th grade, 6th grade, life just seemed to fall apart. 1 year we were fine, and the next year we weren't. And so I started a lunch group with some 6th grade. And I was talking to my husband after school one day, and I was talking about that. And he said, I think you're supposed to do a foundation. I had an eating disorder that developed in the 5th grade that eventually turned into wanting to end my life just not very long ago. And so when he said that, it immediately just started burning in my heart. But of course, the insecure part of me was like, whatever, that's ridiculous. Nobody does that. I'm nobody special. That's not in the cards for me. But the idea wouldn't go away. And so I changed school districts, and I just decided to call the Chamber of Commerce and say, hey, who is there that can help me start a nonprofit? And they put me in touch with somebody, and it just grew. And it was a slow grow, but it was constant. There was always a thought. There was always an idea. I was always reading something. I was always writing something. So needless to say, Gracefully Strong has been a healing point with me. It's been my why. Why did I go through what I went through? Why did I question, should I end my life? That type of thing. If I can save one girl from an eating disorder or wanting to end her life, then that's a success. And I know that's another cliche, but it is, when you've gone through it, it's your own personal hell, if I can say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, um, and it's, I think what gets me so motivated and why I'm creating this interview series is because it's really easy. Like, it doesn't take much to reach the girls.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and it's, just to learn that you're normal feels really good. And it doesn't take that much of a hard work,
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's that environment to set the stage from the very beginning, I think is really key too, especially because they're used to school and like they'll just kind of jump into the old patterns if you don't, and really create a physical space. Because you do it in the classrooms.
yeah. They'll leave their classroom and they'll come to me in a different room. So we're separated. Yeah, I don't enter their classroom. They come to me in a different. So, and I kind of like that they're coming to me in a sacred spot, a spot where I think, okay, it's cool.
Yeah, we sit in a circle too, and we sit on the floor. So it was interesting to hear that. And the other thing I do is I call it getting what you want.
Uh-huh.
And so I start with that saying, this camp is called Getting What You Want. If you don't want to participate, you don't have to, because that would defeat the purpose. If you don't want to play a game, then, step out. Totally. It's like trying to get them to start listening to, what do I want? And there's a difference though between, like, I don't want to play it because it's not cool and I don't want to be embarrassed, and rather than, do I really want to not play, right? Mm-hmm. So some people love to like do role plays and get up in front of the group and act things out, and some people would rather curl up into a ball and hide under the chair. It's all good with me. So I think that's kind of how that first thing of like, this is not school. And that's what I want them to realize. Like, this is time for you to not listen to me, but listen to you. What's going on inside you? Your spirit really is the word you use, which I use too. Like, who's that? What's that spirit thing? And I try to make it tangible. I love that idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Very cool. And we actually do a lot of what you were talking about, is that when you couldn't stop reading and couldn't stop researching and everything just kind of, the idea wouldn't go away. We talk about how that's a sign, coming from your spirit saying, pay attention, look at this. Start off really small. It could start out a passion for Harry Potter. Yes. It could be a passion to, you're like, want to know everything there is to know about Hawaii. Like, it can start anywhere, and it starts from a very young age. So really learning how to pay attention to that stuff takes the focus off of what's everyone wearing, and do I look cool, and do they think I'm stupid, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that you talked about, vision journals, and I really like that, and I may have to explore that idea. We do vision boards, and that's one of the first ones. Where do you want to go? Let's put it all out there so you can see, and kind of like a road trip, you've got to make sure your car is strong. So we're working on that character because you want to get to that place. So let's start right here, and let's figure out what you want to do and where you want to go, and let's get you there.
Yeah. Well, I started with the journals because it's 12 to 14-year-olds. It's like the peak of privacy. And some of them are just like, I want them to be true to themselves more than I want them to filter, what is everybody going to think if I put horses on my vision board or something that, like, I don't want them filtering what they put out there based on other people's opinions. So this way they can keep it private and share what they want, but they don't have to. So some will say, like, share a picture and tell people, what this, this represents for you, like why you like it, but it's totally optional. They can choose the one. So that was kind of the motivation, is because those ages. And you said you do 10 to 14 too?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are some tricky ages, those middle school girls.
Yeah. Yes. And we have journals, but I never thought of putting the vision board in the journal. So thanks for that idea.
Well, I'm going to be teaching. I'm coming back there in Austin. I'm going to be teaching for anybody who wants to learn my curriculum. I'm going to be teaching. So we'll actually do the vision journals. We'll walk through it as though the adults are the kids, and walk exactly how to do it. So you're welcome to come and Right. It's fun, and it's fun. Like, I even still get stuff every time I do it, you know. I'm like, oh, look at what's next for me. I didn't know that was coming up for me, but I'm drawn to, you know.
Yeah, that's
It's always changing. So before I let you go, it's been so great to talk to you. I love what you're doing, and it just sounds so great. I kind of want to come out and watch shadow you out there in Fort Worth. But tell us one more thing that you found has been like your greatest, I would say, like your greatest victory and your greatest challenge.
okay. The victory is just being able to start the program, and it's not a hard sell to get people to say, hey, let's empower girls, because girls, you grow up to women to hold up half the sky. So that's been the greatest victory, is just getting this program going. You know, if it stays the way it is, I don't want it, but if it stays the way it is, then, you know, I've been there. I've accomplished that. The biggest struggle, fighting the doubt. Like, you have to live what you preach.
Yeah. I always say we teach what we most need to learn, right?
Yes, and so that's probably the biggest struggle, is no, Heather, you got this. Like, I told somebody today, I'm doing this interview and they're going to find out that I either know what I'm doing or I'm a total fraud, you know? And I'm like, well, no, I know what I'm doing. So that's the biggest, that this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do, and I can do this. And girls can do this to each other, and, you know, we can help each other. Women can help each other. And
I think you're only 3 years in too. I think it's pretty normal to have doubt still. And I remember when I started life coaching, like, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, I'd be like, forget it. I'm just going to go get a job. And I would peruse like job websites, and there was nothing that sounded fun to me. And I'm like, okay, it was just enough to I'm going back.
Yeah, that passion. And again, putting on your spirit. You take that action of faith, which I think is confidence. When you take those actions of faith, you put on your spirit and you do what you're supposed to be doing, you'll get there. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
And my favorite mantra is, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's just the work. It's getting the work out into the world. That's all. I'm just here as clearly it hires me up for a reason. So I'm supposed to do. So get out of my own ego, doubt, insecurity way, and just like, it's not about me. Shut up.
Yes, exactly.
Have you had any challenges with getting the schools on board, or any tips if somebody said, you know, gosh, I want to go to my kid's school and offer a program like this?
It's easier doing it after school, because the biggest challenge is for the schools to find that time during the day. And then if they sponsor the program, is budget money. You know, schools, they just don't have money for everything that they want to do, unfortunately. And so offering it as an after school program where it's parent funded is a lot easier, and you get more time that way. That's the upside. I get more time with the girls, and I get more of a connection with the parents when I can do it as after school. I do doing it during the day. You get more of a connection with the counselors and the teachers, which that's huge too. So if you can involve the teachers, even if it's just an email, what we've done, that's part of what we do, is there's an email after every session to the moms, to the teachers who are interested, to the counselor, to the admin. So there's buy-in, and to keep that transparency. But those are the biggest things. If you can do it as an after-school program and be able to get it funded, not through the school, would be great. Because you don't want the burden of that to fall on the school. There's only so many hours of the day that those wonderful teachers have.
Right, it's a lot for them. And like you're saying, it's not built into their budget already. So
Right.
As they get to know the program, as future years roll on, they might build it into the budget. But it takes a while.
Mm-hmm. And there are, I mean, you can go to the PTA. You can, grants for schools that have education foundations and fund grants. That's another way through it that we've been able to get it funded.
And I think you talk about, if you say you address social media, I think that's a huge.
Yes. Yeah.
And even because it's all the same, it's social, it's social emotional development, right? Whether it's in person or online. So it's really easy just to say, okay, here's a role play of a text, or here's a role play of a post.
Yes.
And it's the same difference that you're doing. And it's so needed nowadays, because at least before social media, you could tell if you offended somebody, or at least you had a chance of telling. They still might act cool and cry on the inside, but at least your chances were better. Now, social media, there's no immediate feedback. So you don't get that peer modeling of behavior, molding. You just see what I'm saying?
Yeah, where it teaches the girls, let's read each other's faces, let's look into each other's eyes. What are they doing? What are they not doing? What are they saying about what you just said? That type of thing. Yeah.
And then you read between the lines. Well, she didn't text me back. She must be mad at me. It's like, really? Really? Maybe. We don't know. Do you talk about text fights?
Yeah.
It was like, you don't work out disagreements over text.
Oh. Yeah.
But they don't know until somebody tells them.
Yeah.
Right. It's all new for parents too. They're like, we don't know the rules and what to say.
Yeah, exactly. Because we didn't grow up that way. We didn't grow up with text. So.
No, I don't know what it is. Well, thank you so much, Heather. So if you are interested in Heather's program, gracefullystrong.com, you can go there and check her out in Texas and reach out to her. And hopefully we can get together. If I'm in Austin, you're Fort Worth, we can maybe check out each other's programs. So
that's great.
That would be fun. Anyone else, welcome to join us. Thanks so much for watching.